Um, hey, how are y'all doing today? Looks like I've got a great group. I appreciate y'all coming to hear me speak. I'm sure y'all are looking forward to the school coming to an end. What do y'all have, a week left? 9 days. Hey, that's great. So, I'm sure y'all are, well, 9 or 10, give or take. So, I'm glad y'all are, that's coming up for y'all. I hope you have a great summer. Just gonna, as you know, I'm here to talk to you about overcoming obstacles today. So what I have to say is pretty straightforward and to the point. So hopefully you'll have some questions for me. Either way, I hope that y'all get something out of it, and that you come out with a little bit more knowledge than you came in with, and it helps you throughout your school career and your everyday life. My name is Michael McGee. I'm 28 and I came here from Macon, Georgia. My cousin is Miss Jennifer Sparks, so she asked me to come and speak to y'all. So I'll go ahead and get started. My main obstacle that I deal with every day is I was born with a birth defect called spina bifida. Basically what that is when I was born, my vertebrae, my back, the nerves in my back didn't form correctly. And what that basically did is whenever you move your arms or your legs or anything like that, what happens is a signal is sent from your brain to your back and then to whatever part moves. So anytime you have any type of back injury, you have a chance of, you get nerve damage and you have a chance of possibly losing some function. Most people that have my condition are not able to walk. However, I was pretty lucky. I can get around in a wheelchair pretty easily if I need to for long distances. And some of the things that I dealt with growing up as a child was I had bladder and bowel difficulties. I still have a bit of a learning disability. It takes me a little bit longer to catch on to concepts. Sometimes I have to read material more than once to really grasp it. And also my calf muscles, there's pretty much no muscle there. It's just bone. So it's on the small side. So when I walk around, my thighs are what's supporting me. So my thighs are pretty weak, but it's kind of that's really what gives me all my momentum. And because of that, I tend to, if I need to walk for a long period of time or stand for a while, I tend to need to use my wheelchair, which I've had since middle school, and still fits me great. And it's a sports chair, so I can zoom around. I played wheelchair sports as a kid, which was a really cool thing to help me cope with the disability, and I learned a lot of stuff there. However, when I was a child, growing up, I did have some years there where it was rough for me. As I'm sure, even if you have a lot of friends now, at some point I'm sure some of you or all of you have been the target of bullies or some type of negativity in your life. And that, to a point, kind of got me down. I kind of wondered why me, and I kind of went through a little bit of a depression there. And then I was able to bounce back because I got a new outlook on things. And the outlook pretty much is that, and it's something y'all should all be, hopefully dealing with now, if you haven't already, is no matter how different you are, what you're dealing with day to day, because I'm sure we all have things that we struggle with. What you have to realize is embrace your differences and realize that those make you who you are, and you can't change it. So anything like that, you try to make the best of it. Anytime you get a good friend, they'll back you no matter what. So like I said, my outlook really changed, and I'm sure you've heard it before, but your outlook really changes how you see things. If you have a negative outlook, you're probably just going to have you might have a crummy day or just have a rough time. But no matter what you're going through, and I know that a lot of y'all have some real obstacles to deal with in school as far as outside of school as well, is that if you have a positive attitude day by day, it really does help. Your circumstances might not change, but how you view it and how you deal with that really makes a difference in how you're able to cope with that. And it's one of the best things that I've learned, is just accept what it is and embrace it and make the best of it. So like I said, that was really what changed for me. And this speech, like I said, is really not just about me, because what I have to remember is that everybody, I look at myself and my circumstance, and there's people who have it, that are more fortunate than me, have it better, and are able-bodied, of course, and there's people who have it a lot rougher than me as well. So keeping that in mind, if those people that struggle every day can keep a smile on their face and be positive and happy, I should definitely try to do the same thing. So I try to live my life the best way that I can and try to push myself forward. And that's what I hope for all of you all as well, because that's a big thing that's going to help you from now until you become an adult, and throughout your whole life, because you're always going to have stuff no matter what that you're going to deal with. And that goes down to my next point, which is when you see somebody around school, don't be quick to judge them, because as I said, we all have our struggles, and you never know what somebody is dealing with. They come in school and they might be shy, they might be seem like they're in a shell, they might not have the most up-to-date clothes, whatever makes them different. Don't judge them automatically. Get to know them and see what they're all about. I think that I love, especially at my age now, I love talking to people who are different than me, the more different than better, because that allows me to get different perspectives, different ideas from other people, and find out some of the stuff they're going through, and we kind of help each other get through things. And it's kind of a worldly learning experience as well. And that goes down to, a lot of high schools and middle schools have cliques. You're just in your set group, and you don't really get out of that. And that's all well and good. But like I said, try to get out there and talk to other people. And anytime you're having a bad day, you might come to realize that maybe it's not all that bad when you talk to somebody else. Because like I say, you just never know. Next point I want to make is that just in general, anybody that's struggling with school, I know that some of y'all you love school, you love learning, and that's great, because that means that school is fun for you and you like to do it, and you probably will be pretty you're pretty happy when you come in, I imagine. And there's other ones who just want to get through the day and don't really care to come. But I'm here to tell you, make the best out of each day you're in school, whether you want to be here or not, because from here on out, you're setting the tone for your future. If you decide to go, when you go into high school, which is right around the corner for all of you, it's going to come down to your goals, what you want to do with yourself. It's time to start thinking about what you want to do and what you want to study as adults. So don't take that for granted. Don't waste time, kind of goofing off. Think about what you want to do, and who knows? Maybe there's some doctors in here. Maybe there's some nurses. Maybe there's people that are gonna try to help the homeless. Maybe even a president. Really, who knows? And that kind of excites me, because you all are actually the leaders of tomorrow. I look up to you all, and your teachers try to teach you the best, because they're trying to set the tone for you all to take over when we get older, and the cycle just continues. So listen to your teachers, do the best you can, and take this time to really figure out what you want to do. Some of the ways that I cope with dealing with the stuff that I go through, besides just making the best of each day, which is, I'd say, number one on my list. The second one would have to be understanding that there's no such thing to me as failure. It's a word. It's in the dictionary. It exists, but I don't believe in it. My parents always supported me, and as long as I did my best, I didn't really, in their eyes, I didn't really fail. There was things that I would come to them about when I was struggling, whether it was a bad grade or something I tried to accomplish that I struggled with in life, whether it was school or outside of school. And I would come to them and say, oh, I didn't do good. And they'd say, well, did you try your best? And if I said yes, then that's all that really mattered. Because the only true failure is if you don't get up and try again. Once you decide you don't want to do it, you've successfully failed. So as long as you keep pushing forward, you're still in the game. And it's all about when you do fall down, which you're going to have things that are going to be, you're going to have a lot of successes in your life, and you're also going to have some things that aren't going to necessarily go your way. And it's all about pushing forward and how you get yourself back up. That's really what counts, almost more than any accomplishment, because it's a learning experience. It's something that you can take away, and it's a way of looking at things different. And hopefully the things that you struggle with make you stronger, and you learn different ways to approach situations that you might struggle with. And like I said, the other thing is to realize every day that while you struggle, someone else does have it worse. And one of the other things, it kind of goes along with the whole cliques and talking to other people and everything, is to surround yourself with positive people. You know, I know that some of you are maybe at the age where things are, you throw around words like cool and uncool, and to me, you know, a friendship is more than just, you know, who your friends are, you know, who likes you, what kind of grade you have, even more than just, you know, how much fun you have together. It's about if you can support each other through the good and the bad. And if you have somebody that'll help you through thick and thin and not just there for the good times, then you really got a good friend. And if you don't necessarily have that, you know, that support system through your friends, then maybe you ought to, you know, rethink that and maybe look elsewhere, because those are the people that are going to push you forward. And I know in my life, my family and also my friends are, I mean, they make me the best I can be. A lot of times we have to push ourselves forward. Some of us don't have somebody there to kind of, you know, give us a pat on the back and say, keep trying. Some of us, you know, we have to figure out things on our own, and it's harder. But your friends and who you surround yourself around are a part of you. They make you who you are, and they have the power to either help you succeed or help you fail. I mean, it's literally that powerful. You know, if you're around somebody in school now who gets in trouble a lot, get away from that. That's, you know, get out there and, like I said, do the best you can and surround yourself with positive people who are going to be a positive influence in your life. And hopefully things will pan out the way that you want it to be, and you'll be able to succeed in stuff that you want as long as you try. You know, like I said, you haven't failed. That's one other point I wanted to make. It'll probably come back to me. But anyway, does anybody have any questions? Oh, it's a birth defect. So my parents pretty much knew when I was born, and well, I mean, it was like that when I was born, and I had to overcome a lot of stuff to become, you know, as well off as I am now physically, because as I was a child, I had a lot of physical therapy I had to do. I had to wear full leg braces, and I had to have corrective eye surgery. My eyes were kind of messed up, and some other things that came up. But as I progressed forward with the therapy and, like I said, positive influences around me, I was able to overcome a lot of things.
What was your day-to-day routine as a kid?
As a kid, let's see. That's going back. I'm 28 now. Let's see. I went to school just like everybody else, and I can pretty much do everything that everybody else can do now. It's just a little bit. I do the same stuff, just a little differently. I had. See, when I was you know, went to school like everybody else. So when I was in school, I had a therapy I had to do. I had a lot of eye tracking exercises. I did a lot of leg exercises, and I would like track a ball that was on the ceiling to kind of focus my eyes. I was actually in some classes at the time that kind of helped me with reading, because I had a reading disability at the time, and I had some teachers. I was in regular classes, but I had teachers on the side that I went to other classes, and they kind of help me keep up in those classes. So, and as I've gotten older, those things have gotten easier. But had it not been for the therapy, I don't know where I would have been, because just like if somebody's been in a car accident or something, they have to have therapy after surgery or their recovery. For me, it was the same way. And just like if somebody's in a situation like that, if they don't do therapy and retrain their body how to move and assist their body in the healing process, then they might not have the best recovery. So I was just lucky that I had good people in the area. And actually, spina bifida is it exists the most in, I think, Atlanta, Georgia, which is about 4 hours from you guys, about 2 hours from me. There's a lot of really good hospitals there, particularly children's hospitals, that deal with spinal cord injuries and research. And the other place is Canada, and nobody really knows why. But they got good people in place for that. So.
Does it hurt?
Does it hurt? When my legs get sore, yeah, it does. Like I said, basically, if you've ever lifted a weight and you've just kind of held it, your arm gets kind of tired. It's the same way if I try to stand for too long, my thighs get it's that kind of tired feeling that I kind of get in my legs. But I mean, I don't mind it. I mean, I can get around in my wheelchair just about, well, actually better than I can when I'm walking around. And there's actually a story that comes to mind about that, just in general. And it comes back to not necessarily judging people. A lot of times what I've noticed is that when I'm walking around, I'm actually struggling more than when I'm in my chair. It is uncomfortable a lot of the time, and I've just kind of gotten used to it. But what I've noticed is I could have 5 bags in my hand and be going to a door, and people will just close the door behind me, don't give it a second thought. But if I'm in my chair, everybody gets the door for me. And actually, I can just as soon get the door for them. It's just as easy, because I can really multitask in that, and it's just a lot easier. So it's all about, just, again, not really knowing where people come from. It's nice. I like it, but it's just kind of funny how people view things sometimes. Anybody else? In order to drive? No, it's not. When I was, that's an obstacle that I actually had to overcome, though. When I came around driving age, a lot of doctors, including my parents, didn't think I'd be able to drive normally. There's actually, for people in wheelchairs, they use hand controls, where you've got a control here where you can accelerate and brake, stop and go. And then with the other hand, they use that to steer. And I wasn't against it, but if I could drive with just a regular pedal, just like y'all do, I was all for that. And like I said, this is another example of how I can do things just differently. I can move my feet up, but I can't move them down, as y'all might to step on the pedal. So what I actually have to do is I've actually trained myself so that I know the right amount of pressure to use. I use my whole leg, and I just kind of press down like that. And it took a little bit of getting used to, but it works out. It works out really good. So I can drive just like anybody else. There's a couple of cars that give me issues depending on how the pedals are positioned, but for the most part, I don't have any trouble driving. Anyone else?
Do you walk or use your wheelchair more?
Even though it is uncomfortable, I probably should walk more than I do. A big problem that I have as far as staying fit is, well, one, I love to eat. I just do. But the other part is that it's hard for me to get up and run and do cardio, and that's how a lot of y'all, you lose weight and you stay fit, is you go out there and run and get your heart pumping, and it's more difficult for me to do that. So typically, and the older I get, because of the weight I've put on and because my legs are weak, it is hard for me to walk around. So I would have to say I'm probably in my chair more than I'm then I'll walk around. But I can actually accomplish more because you can get a lot of stuff in your lap and it's no problem. So, and then I got all sorts of doodads that I'm thinking. I mean, I might add a lunch tray to it and a cup holder. I mean, it's a work in progress, but I like playing with it. So. Any other questions? That's a good question. It's spina bifida occulta, and basically what it has to do with is there's, like I said, my back didn't form, or the vertebrae didn't form all the way, but what it has to do with is the severity of how far out it goes, and that has to do with how much nerve damage you typically have. Most people with my condition actually can't walk. And the reason for that is because, if you have a scratch or a broken bone or something like that, your body can heal itself. But when people are in a wheelchair, they usually don't gain full function back, and they usually can't, walk like they used to, because doctors don't know yet how to regrow nerves. And nerves are what connects, that's what helps, that's what, makes you feel. And that's what helps all your body, move. It helps you stand and walk and pick up things and everything else. Once they figure that out, which it could be one of y'all, who knows? That's there'll be a lot of cures for a lot of things. Not just spina bifida, but also all sorts of different accidents that people are in, which. I've heard of people that have broken their necks when they got into the pool diving. Maybe there'll be some more hope for them, because that's pretty severe. But yeah, so.
Hard to do the things you want?
Hard to do the things I want? It depends on who I hang around. I mean, I'm not going to go mountain climbing or anything. But I mean, I'm all for new things. I think that it's probably more about. It's an interesting question. I think that, just like I was saying, if you have friends that support you and your family that supports you, they can help you be the best you can be. Well, the same thing goes with that. I mean, there's a lot of if I'm around somebody and they do a lot of things that I'm not used to doing, like physical stuff, like I'm not going to go out there and play football or anything. But at the same time, there's other things that have come up, outdoorsy type stuff. And if I'm with somebody that believes in me and wants to, give me a try and be patient with me, then it kind of gives me faith and kind of pushes me forward. And when you have friends that accept you for you, you don't realize that you have any type of disability. And those are the best kinds of friends, the ones that don't see any of your limitations. They just make your positives shine. So those are the best. So yeah.
Were you ever bullied during school?
Yes, I was. Bullying is something that I dealt with for a while in school. And it's something that I really wish didn't exist, because I think if we all just learned to get along instead of, and I'm not saying everybody does this, but there are certain kids that they just get a kick out of, they want the spotlight, they want attention, and they pinpoint certain people out and, pick on them, I guess, to make themselves feel better. And I think if we all just, like I said, learn to hang out together and be friends and see what we have in common, then that wouldn't exist. And because the bullying was actually something that did make things more difficult for me. It's like I was saying a minute ago, I've got a lot of friends now who they don't see my disability. They just hang out with me and they're mindful of it. They know, but they don't ever draw attention to it, and they don't mind. They don't treat me any differently. And I think those are the best people to have around you. So yeah, it's definitely one of those mind over matter things, as far as having a positive outlook versus having a negative outlook. So a positive outlook and being comfortable with yourself is going to win every time.
Have you ever been reckless, or have you always just stayed on one side of the line to where you were careful not to do things?
Reckless. You mean as far as? You mean as far as driving or
No, just like in general.
reckless? I tend not to be. I'm lucky to have the function that I do with my body. So a lot of the partying stuff that a lot of people did in high school, particularly, I really didn't take part in. A lot of times because it was wrong, but also because I've just got too much to lose. Like, why chance it? You know, some people are daredevils and they think, well, even if something's dangerous, it's a bit of a rush maybe, and it's fun, it's something they enjoy. But then it's like, what if something happens and you hurt yourself or you get in trouble? Is it worth it? And that's what a lot of people ask themselves if they do get hurt or if they do get caught and get in trouble. And it's like, I shouldn't have done that. And I just never took the risk. And so I mean, in some aspects, I mean, I could have maybe done a couple more reckless things growing up, but I'm kind of happy that I didn't, because I'm all about making myself better and not really pushing myself back. And you know, anything that you do like that, any type of reckless behaviors you were talking about, you're taking a risk. And I'm not a big risk taker per se, because it's just I tend to think of myself as more of a wise person, and just you think about the consequences in any kind of situation before you do them. And if you can't handle the consequences of the worst case scenario, that's just not to do it. So that's kind of what I live by. Oh, because when you try to balance yourself, you have your calf muscles, your muscles back here in the lower leg, that kind of help support you and keep you going. My calf muscles, there's no muscle there. Those muscles actually don't respond, because the signal that anytime I'm trying to balance or walk, the signal that my brain wants to send to my leg, it doesn't go because of that nerve damage. So because of that, the muscles that do work in my legs are my thighs, and so it's kind of sort of like working with half a leg. And that's the main reason why, is because it's just, there's so much weight, and I'm like I said, I'm being supported basically by, you know, one group of muscles instead of, you know, the whole piece. So that makes the big difference. Anybody else?
Been, like, physically bullied?
Physically, I've been threatened into fights. Or I did when I was a lot younger. It didn't happen in high school, but it happened a lot in elementary school and middle school. There were two guys that I had the pleasure of having through all those years, and they bullied me the entire time. I tended to always have the same class and everything else, and they would threaten me physically, but nothing ever became of it. And that's when I realized that, for the most part, bullies just want attention, and they want to bring you down, and you can't let that happen. I mean, you have to stay strong and you know, push yourself forward at that point, or go to a teacher, seek out help from somewhere. I mean, it's not right for anybody to have to deal with that. But yeah, there are those groups of people. But what I also learned as well from those people that bothered me is that they had a really, really tough home life that I didn't know about at the time, and they lashed out at me just because I was an easy target. It wasn't personal. It wasn't the fact that I did anything wrong to them. It's just that they had a rough life and they decided to lash out at me. So don't always think that just because somebody picks at you that it's you personally, but don't stand for it either. I mean, if there's a solution and you can go to somebody, definitely do that. Anybody else?
What's the biggest obstacle you've had to overcome?
The biggest obstacle I've ever had to overcome. It's probably going to have to be, I mean, it's a pretty simple, well, it's a simple answer, and it kind of goes with what I've dealt with here. It's, the obstacle to me is not the disability. It's learning, it's knowing that I have the disability, and it's understanding that I've got to be the best person I can be to spite it. because it's not going anywhere for the foreseeable future. I'm kind of in this body, and make the best of it. So really, the hardest obstacle I've had to face is just accepting me, and being okay with that, and understanding that if somebody doesn't want to hang out with me, then they're just not worth my time. And it's interesting from that view, because there are people that look at me and they think that they just kind of size me up, and they go, oh, I don't want to associate with that person, and they think that they're weeding me out as a friend. But really, I'm weeding them out as a friend, because obviously they didn't want to get to know me in the first place. They just saved me the trouble. So it kind of works out in my benefit when I get judged like that, because I know pretty quickly that I don't want to be around them. So definitely just accepting me for me, and being able to get through school was a big obstacle as well. Not so much from an academic perspective, like as far as school being difficult, but more just because when I was bullied, they were just nonstop, and it made coming to school rough for me. It wasn't really fun. And looking back, maybe I wish I could have done something to prevent it. I don't know what. Maybe talk to them, reason with them, but it was unfortunate. And I'm sure that if I saw them today, then they'd apologize, and we'd go get lunch or something, and no hard feelings. We've all got our obstacles, and we've all got our stuff that we deal with. But getting through school, and understanding about my disability is probably the biggest thing. Just that as a whole.
Do you regret having your disability?
No, I don't. Because, now and as you get older, the experiences that you go through, the experience here today with me, which hopefully will stick with you for a while, and other things, the friends that you have, and everything that you do, the teachers that you talk to, your family at home, they make you who you are. And having a disability, it's not the funnest thing, but I've got people around me who love me and care about me and accept me for me. And as long as I've got those people, I'm okay. And not only that, but I can understand other people who have difficulties similar to mine, but also just in general, because I've had to overcome things, and I think it made me mature a lot quicker because I understood where they were coming from. So no, I think it made me the person I am today, and I think that it made me more mature and understanding of other people. And I think that for anybody that has an opportunity to be sympathetic and understanding towards somebody else, I think that's a very important life lesson that'll get you very far. Just acceptance in general. So I don't regret it. Anybody else?
Has it helped you walk for a long time?
Yeah, it does. It's because muscles are weak. So anybody else?
What do you think your largest achievement would be?
Large achievement. It goes along. My largest achievement goes along with my biggest obstacle, which was finishing high school. I was one of those people that, like I said, I didn't really have a lot of friends, and I had to really push myself because, for a while there, I was just frustrated, irritated.
Physical?
Yeah, it was. It was physical, yeah, but it was more the bullying and the psychological. I think with any obstacle that you have, no matter how big or small it is, I think if you can overcome it psychologically and just accept it and be okay with it and find a way to deal with it, then it's not as bad as it would be if you let it get the best of you. So.
Prevented you from doing something you wanted?
My disability? Sure. I think that I did play wheelchair. I did play sports when I was in school. I played. There's actually wheelchair basketball and wheelchair soccer, which is a lot of fun. But I think I probably would have. I definitely think that I probably would have done more sports, like more physical sports, if I didn't have any problems. But at the same time, I appreciate that, and I say, well, I'd run track and I'd play sports. But if I didn't have this disability, I wouldn't know to appreciate it. You know, it's just like, you know, someone who has trouble moving their hands. They don't understand what they want to have that movement, you know, and be able to use their hands. So people tend to focus on what they can't do. So I mean, sure, I would like to say that I would do more with my legs if they were working properly, but then again, I wouldn't know to appreciate it like I do. So it all depends on how you look at it. Anybody else?
Are you able to work?
I'm able to work? Yes, I am. I work at Advanced Auto Parts, which is a retail auto parts store, and it's totally new to me. So, you know, I've learned all this stuff about how to fix cars and how to put in batteries, and it's been a real learning experience. The difficult thing for me is a lot of places, because I'm in my chair a lot and I can't walk around a lot, it is really hard for me to you know, to be on my feet a lot. So the problem with that is, with a lot of stores or a lot of jobs, unless it's a desk job, if you ever look around at a store, you don't see a lot of room for wheelchairs, and everything is up high, and there's not a lot of accommodations there. The register is up high. There's not really one that's like leveled for people in a wheelchair. So overcoming that, kind of doing that standing, sitting, and moving around in there in the tight spaces, it's difficult for me. But yeah, I do work, and no reason I can't. I mean, my biggest thing is just being on my feet. But yeah, I mean, mentally, yeah, I mean, I think if I didn't work, I'd be bored. So yeah, I work, and I'm going to school as well. So yeah. Anyone else?
My brother, he like has some disabilities too,
Mhm.
and I was just wondering. Well, he doesn't really want to do anything, like go to school or anything really. So I was just wondering if you had any ideas about like how to motivate him.
May I ask, how old is he?
15.
15? But he goes to school and everything. Does he go? Okay, and he just doesn't have a lot of goals, a lot of ambitions and stuff like that.
He
Is
has
it-
some ambitions, they're just not like really strong ambitions.
Does he have friends?
I don't know. I really don't.
You don't know?
No.
Well, if he has some good friends around him, if he doesn't have good friends around him, he needs to. So maybe you can introduce him to some people. How old are you?
13.
13. You know, maybe you can hook him up with some friends. It's like I said, a positive influence in somebody's life makes all the difference in the world. And just keep on, and it's cool of you, because he's your big brother, right? I mean, that's huge. Because I have a little sister, and you know, she wished the same things for me. So that's really cool of you. Thank you. Just continue to motivate. You can't make somebody do something, but all you can do is be a positive influence in their life, and continue to try to motivate them, support them, tell them they can do it. And out of that, at that point, it's kind of out of your hands. But just help him to believe in himself, and get him around positive people, and keep saying you can do it. And you know, maybe he'll grow out of it. It's all about being comfortable with who you are. And I understand he's got some struggles there, and I wish you the best in that. Anyone else? Yes, I do. Actually, I'm 28, and I moved out not too long ago. Most people, they move out and they go to college, or you know, they move out in their early 20s, something like that. I had to stay at home a little bit longer. It was mostly because it did take me a while to get things set up as far as where I wanted to go to college, and I had to try out different things. And just the economy being kind of tough as far as finding a job, and finding a job that could help me out as far as being in a wheelchair and be okay with that, which my boss is great. They welcome it, and they're a real support to me. So yeah, now that I have the money and I'm working now at a steady job where I'm, you know, full time and everything, and I'm going to school, yeah, I am living on my own, and I can do, you know, I don't have any problems living on my own. I can do anything that anybody else can do. I get lazy every now and then, but I think that's most of us to a point. Every once in a while. But yes, I do.
You got any kids?
No, I don't have any kids. I've dated some people in the past, but it just, it just didn't work out. We went our separate ways. So, no kids so far. But I do want some. I did when I was younger. When I was in my early 20s, I was scared of kids. But now, no offense. But now I kind of want that. So maybe if I meet the right person, that could happen. So it's definitely something that I'm looking forward to in the future. Anyone else?
Does your disability stop you from being able to date girls?
That's an interesting question. There's a lot. The older I get, the less girls seem to care. I didn't date at all in high school or through school period. I had some girls that I had crushes on, but they never really knew it. When I left high school, I did tend to meet. Tend to meet a lot of women, and I was in some serious relationships. And they just didn't care, and that's the best type of person. If you can, whether it's a friendship or a boyfriend, girlfriend, if you can find somebody that just cares about you for you and doesn't care, that's a keeper. That's somebody to really try to make it work, because that's really hard to find. Good friends are hard to find, and a good partner is hard to find. And I think the older people get, the less they really judge as far as, they don't see that disability as much. I think younger people are more, they're more focused on just looks and, all the superficial things. But when it comes down to it, the older you get, the more you're going to want somebody that's just a nice guy, a nice girl, and it just doesn't matter as much. So as I've gotten older, it's gotten a lot easier. But at the same time, I don't mind, because women that don't talk to me or give me time of day, that's kind of cool, because I don't have to deal with them, right? Anyone else?
Were you shy when you were in school?
I was. I didn't get out of my shell. I mean, I talked to people, but I was mostly friends with teachers. I was more of a teacher's pet in a lot of ways than as far as social with other people. So, I mean, yeah, I was to a point. I wasn't. I think it was more the environment of school that made me shy, because I could go and be around family or anything like that and be just fine. But get to school and it was different, and it was more because I hadn't accepted, my situation. Once I did that, it was no problem. So, not shy anymore.